99.5 KKLA, this is the Frank Sontag Show. Many of us listening to this broadcast will more than likely never even entertain or be interested in the area of law, whether it's actually getting your degree, practicing, or maybe in this day and age where culture is shifting so radically along the lines of secularism. You may be listening to this broadcast right now and think, well, that has nothing to do with me. Either one of those two issues could not be further from the truth. Law impacts us all, and it's important to recognize our part to play in it. With me to talk a bit about the importance of law and Christian law is the Dean of Trinity Law School. He's also a board member of Christian Legal Society. And Myron Steeves, welcome to the Frank Sontag Show on KKLA.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here today.
Myron, why of all walks in life did you choose law?
It was a second career for me. I started out in ministry, worked as a missionary, and while I was involved in ministry, I realized that my talents were far better behind the scenes than they were in direct ministry. And I saw the role that lawyers play in overcoming obstacles for difficult challenges and thought, this is a great career for me. And I went into law in order to help people carry out their ministries. And my story is very much the story of many Christians who pick law as a career.
And would you speak to that? Talk about Christians picking law as a career.
Well, what lawyers do in some ways resembles the interest that a lot of people have in ministry. They want to make a difference in people's lives. They want to help those who are downtrodden or having a hard time finding justice. And law provides a vehicle for that. One of the fundamental roles of a lawyer is helping people overcome challenges where they don't know the answers to how to get what they need, whether it be relief from poverty, access to justice, helping people at a time of crisis in their life. Law can be a source of great comfort and make a difference in people's lives. I can give an example of that. What a lot of people don't realize that many pastors face when they counsel people in their congregation is that many people come in and they are hurting because of a lot of issues, but law is a component of it. Either they're struggling with a landlord or they got into trouble somewhere along the way. They need help, and a lot of pastors recognize that these people need a lawyer, and often they need a lawyer who understands deeper issues than just what the law is. And a Christian lawyer can meet that need in a remarkable way that others can't.
Myron Steeves is here from Trinity Law School. Myron, speak to those listening right now that may be in school, pondering an idea of pursuing a career in law, and faith is very important to them. Talk to them about the importance of understanding. That's a very obviously a very serious decision to make, and also speak to Trinity Law and the expertise at your wonderful school.
Well, law is a lot more complicated than some people realize. I think there are people out there that assume legal education is a trade school, that you're learning a mechanical skill, and you would learn it the same way, whether it be from Christian teachers or not. But in fact, law is deeply embedded in our culture. And if you have good instruction in law, it has a good impact on culture. If you've got flawed instruction in law, it's got a very toxic, negative impact on culture. In Trinity Law School, we are dedicated to trying to see justice from God's perspective, a perspective that's rooted in Scripture, and that has a profound effect on society generally. We do that in a way that deeply enriches faith and can have a big impact on the community as well.
Now, I don't want this to sound any way other than the point that I'm making. A listener that may be pondering a future in law, we're in Southern California. There's many choices, and yet one of the reasons why I have you in studio is because I believe a lot of what Trinity Law School stands for and what you try to do and what you've been doing for decades. Speak to the expertise again of Trinity Law. Why is Trinity Law so different, if you will?
It is based in the very heart of how law has been understood for hundreds of years until just recently in America, that law is deeply embedded in ethics and morality. And that has always been recognized until just about 100 years ago, that if you try to separate law from faith, at some point law breaks down. The curious thing is, even outside the Christian world, this is recognized. The former dean of Yale Law School, who's definitely not a Christian, he's a non-religious individual, wrote a book called The Lost Lawyer that was about the crisis in the identity of lawyers, that it is a soulless profession. And he recognized that this was because of the chasm between faith and a moral viewpoint. The tragic thing for him is that he couldn't really construct an alternative other than just basing it in history. We base it in truth that's based upon the glory of Jesus Christ and what he has done for humanity. The incarnation of Jesus Christ, his death and resurrection, have profound impact on the way that we perceive the law. And we get that at Trinity. That's not understood at most law schools.
Myron Steeves is my guest. One more question specifically about Trinity, and then I want to kind of enter into the state of the world now, secular law versus faith-based law, and a question or two about religious freedom. Part of the reason why you're in studio is you have partnered at KKLA through Trinity Law School for 27 years, and we want to honor you and say thank you for that partnership. Lord willing, maybe another 27 more. We don't know what the future holds, but we do know who holds our future. Talk to the KKLA listeners, and why is that partnership so strong between our radio station and your wonderful law school?
Well, I think it started from 27 years of recognizing that the typical Trinity student is the kind of student who listens to Christian radio, and most specifically KKLA. We've had a large part of our student body has come from radio listeners. This has been the pillar of our getting our message out to the community. And it's been a vital part of our communication to people for many, many years. And we ask our students what their familiarity is with the various media that we use to reach out to the people around us. And radio is always factored in really strongly. And when they talk about radio, they're talking specifically about KKLA.
Liberty is of the essence in this day and age, and faith is something we all say we recognize. Trinity Law School is a law school that obviously stands on the rock and is one that would be interested in hearing from you if you have any inclination to follow your law degree in a day and age by which secular rules and whims of society seem to be ever-changing. Their website is trinitylawschool.edu, trinitylawschool.edu. I'll give an 800 number out at the end of the interview if you are interested in picking up the phone and calling. When we continue, the times they are a-changing, what is happening to law, and where does faith-based law come into play and the importance in this day and age? As we continue with my guest, the Dean of Trinity Law School, Myron Steeves, here on the Frank Sontag Show on 99.5 KKLA. 99.5 KKLA, this is the Frank Sontag Show. Myron Steeves is here from Trinity Law School, a law school that believes that earning a law degree uniquely equips Christians and is an effective way to serve God and serve the common good. Myron, we live in a very interesting time. Laws are changing. I do a program each and every day by which usually we talk about religious oppression, religious freedom. Talk about the importance not only for people that may be pursuing law, but the average mom and dad in this time when laws are specifically faith-based understanding of religious freedom and First Amendment rights are under attack.
They're under attack like never before, and the world is changing so rapidly that it's hard to see what things will look like even a couple of years from now. The problem started quite a few decades ago. One of the areas where law and culture went wrong was when the perception came that there is something offensive about seeing people celebrate and engage in religious activity. So this idea crept in the law that the citizens need to be protected constitutionally from the embarrassment and humiliation of encountering somebody engaged in a religious activity if they're not part of your faith. That's not a value that I have. When I see people publicly expressing religious activities that are not part of my religious heritage. I'm not offended by it. I rejoice in the fact that there is liberty, and I see somebody who is worthy of engaging in an interesting conversation. But we've developed this bizarre notion that religion is fundamentally offensive, and people shouldn't have to experience others worshiping or expressing their faith. And it has diminished the vitality of the public square, and it is actually leading to limitations in religious liberty. And it's not a good thing. We should return to a more sensible view of religious liberty, which is one that sees it as a positive influence on the culture and one that the state should encourage rather than suppress.
I want to affirm and validate what you're saying, because my experience doing this program and then hearing the response from our audience, which is primarily Christian, I hear a lot that there's this idea that somehow we as Christians, we're just only for our faith, versus the tantamount issue at hand, which is religious freedom for all in this country, which doesn't mean necessarily it's just we're here for our faith. If someone that's a Jew wants to practice his faith, someone that's a Muslim wants to practice their faith, it's all about religious freedom and a religious expression, not somehow pointing the finger and saying, no, you can't pray anymore in public because that somehow offends somebody else.
Yeah, and this is a point that people lose track of. Part of it is the law is a teacher. Once something has been enacted in a statute, people draw assumptions that somehow that makes a statement about truth, and it's awfully misleading. When I was teaching religious liberty to my students, I would ask them what their thought was about public displays of Christmas activities, like a crash at a park. And their immediate response is, well, of course that shouldn't be allowed because it's offensive. And I would challenge them. I say, offensive? Do you get offended when you see a menorah or a crescent and star? And they'd say, well, no. And I'd say, so why is your faith offensive? And they would think about it and say, well, now that you mention it, it's not. And this is where the law has taught a generation of Americans that you should be deeply upset if you see some manifestation of a belief system other than your own. That's nonsense. The country is enriched by the fact that we've got a true marketplace of ideas when that marketplace is allowed to function. And more religious interaction is far better than less. It enriches the country rather than diminishes it. And as Christians, this should matter to us because we want to welcome every opportunity we can to talk about our faith. And we can only do so if there's a free exchange of ideas.
Myron Steeves is my guest from Trinity Law School. One last question. You are on the board of the Christian Legal Society. Talk about what is the Christian Legal Society and what does it do in our culture?
It's an organization that's been around for about 50 years. It is a fellowship of lawyers that has a variety of ministries. One thing that it does is provide fellowship for attorneys. It also reaches out to law students. Many Christian law students find law school to be a tough experience because often they are the punching bag for what is wrong with the culture. It also heads up a large poverty-oriented legal services program and defends religious liberty. It is the oldest religious liberty-oriented public interest law firm in the country. It's been doing this since the 1960s and has done great work defending the rights of religious people and religious people of all faiths. It is a great institution. It is sad that many Christian lawyers don't fully realize the full impact that they have on the culture. And the Christian Legal Society has been a really big part of turning around the thinking of Christian lawyers, which is why Trinity Law School is so heavily supportive of and involved in the Christian Legal Society.
Myron, one last question. You've been a practicing lawyer for how many years?
24.
And in that quarter of a century, you've seen law change a lot in America.
It has changed.
If you knew then what you know now, would you still pursue law?
Yeah, I would, without hesitation. The change has been interesting. It has made law more challenging than it was 24 years ago, but it's still very exciting. Law is a great way to engage the culture. It's a great way to help people who are hurting. Life isn't about law. I'll concede that. It's much richer than that. But there is a small segment of our life in which law has a big impact. And it is exciting to me to be a part of that. And that's why I'm in legal education, is I love to see hundreds of other people share the same experience that I've had.
If you would like to inquire about all the wonderful aspects that Trinity Law School is responsible for helping our community, you can go online to trinitylawschool.edu, trinitylawschool.edu. You also can call 800-922-4748, 800-922-4748. And Myron, I would suspect anyone listening right now, if they're even thinking about attending Trinity Law School, you would say?
Contact Trinity Law School at the website, and we will respond as quickly as we can and let you know what a fantastic experience you have ahead.
Myron, 24 years in law. You also have a backup career in radio. You've been wonderful on the air. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for 27 years partnering with us at KKLA. And thank you for what you do at Trinity Law School for our community and for our faith.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to share with you this afternoon.
We will continue with this, the Frank Sontag Show, and this is 99.5 KKLA.